Well, because we looked at Yuj and Sergey in round one, let's take a look at two players we did not do a deep dive on. I'm going to suggest we take a look at Patryk Cieslak's game against Lu Miaoyi. And when we do that, we'll get to take a look at two new players. So I'm going to go to that game, and we've arrived. Okay, so the bishop is jumped to h3 right as we speak, and that is a very weird placement for the bishop. I guess my first question is, where's that black king going to go? Is he going to stay in the center, or what's going to happen with that king?
Yeah, what is going to happen with that king? I think he's going to live a life in the center. I don't think black should be even thinking about castling in either direction and just rely on the fact that the pieces are pretty active. And it's not easy for white to actually break through, because if you capture on e5, then black corrects their pawn structure, takes on with the f-pawn. You can move the queen to e7, and there's not too many squares for the white knights to start anchoring themselves to.
Okay, so pretty committal decision here by playing the move pawn to d5, trying to break down the queen side. Very interesting, though, because if you break down the queen side, you're going to open up lines to your own king. Okay, so queen to b6 already makes a threat because pawn takes pawn, and when the bishop moves, there's a checkmate on b2. So an immediate threat. Also, you could take on f2 and play some sort of endgame with the queens off the board. So double thoughts here with queen b6. Could be aggressive intent. Oh, wait, ignoring b takes a4, and you can see the computer does not hesitate, but c7 was the response. Oh, this is crazy. The bishop guards c8. Could you play rook b7 and leave the pawn on the board? I don't know.
Yeah, it's tempting. You need to calculate that one, because the bishop will then take on a4 with a check, and then there might be some b3 ideas in order to protect the king. I think if you're kind of feeling safe, probably queen takes c7 is good enough, and that's exactly what black does. And now the king probably is gonna, okay, I was gonna suggest king f8 and try to hide on g7, but nope, king to e7. That is a nice, brave move.
Yep, and we're getting close to just simple chess here. The rook is going to slide over to c8, and then all of the black pieces are going to come to bear in the attack. I wonder if he's thinking of bishop a3 type ideas in this position, maybe one day. The knight on g6 and the bishop on h3 are not playing a part of the attack. They might get rerouted. And of course, knight d5 is the immediate threat, so black goes ahead and just chops that knight off the board so that there's no fork on d5. The queen takes, and I'm expecting a slower buildup. You can get rid of the h6 pawn. Yeah, rook c8. We don't care about h6. We're going all in on that white king.
Right. In fact, the queen can't take a detour over to h6 because rook takes b2. Looks like it's going to arrive with a boom as well. So be very careful. And actually, I really like Lu Miaoyi's position. I think she has a nice ready-made attack on the b line. And now it's just a question of involving the bishop on h3. Maybe you can center it back to e6, or maybe no need. Maybe you just go like this, in with the queen to a2.
Yeah, she's just finding the weak point in the armor is all you're doing here. The queen is just going to sneak in slowly. And of course, don't sleep on Yovi's idea of rook takes b2. I think it's going to exist in a lot of different permutations as this game continues. But things don't look that great here for Patryk. Lu Miaoyi trying to get on the board after her opening round loss. And if so, we can say that that black is back, because black would be 4-0 if Lu Miaoyi is able to convert this position. So, by the way, she is 16, and this is the under 16 division, but the smartest thing Lu Miaoyi did was she turned 16 after January 1st, which made her eligible for our event today. That's why we're seeing her for this event one last time. She played last year as well. Okay, pawn to b3. Can the king find cover, though? Are we going to see a different rook sack, or maybe just a4?
Yeah, a4 looks like a very nice idea. Actually, there's not going to be a response to that, because after b4, rook takes b4, and the bishop is going to be hanging there on c2 if you recapture. So, and in fact, that's going to be checkmate. So you can't really do that. A4 looks like a killer blow, because otherwise, you can see the white king maybe go to d2, or maybe the knight can come to d2 and try to do some repair work that way. They do say that the knight is a king's best friend, but things looking really ropey here for white.
Okay, I want to take a look at this a4 move. I know you showed the tactic. Bishop e6 was played. Looks very reasonable as well. Let's go back for a second, though. If pawn to a4, Pawn to b4 would be the natural idea to shut down files, but a different rook sack, this time on b4, not b2. And Yovi is the queen of rook sacks today because after takes, we have a checkmate, as you can see on the board. Okay, let's go back to our live position. Instead, Lu Miaoyi decides instead to get the bishop back in the game. Pawn to c4, shutting down the bishop. I'm still sensing a4, though, as a key idea. And after a4, okay, bishop takes a different sacrifice. And, oh, the queen comes over. Okay, do you see something here? Would you double rooks in the c-file, Yovi? What do we do?
You can double, you can also go rook b2. Isn't that also another possibility? And either way, you got to target the weak point, which is the bishop on c2. There's pins all over the place. This one looked just as good. So I'm liking this. I mean, I'm not really seeing a way for white to to hold on other than just stepping up with a rook to e2 in order to hold.
Rook d2 is a mate. The problem with rook e2 is if you give check and the king moves, the king blocks the rook's protection. And black has played Lu Miaoyi's faster than my voice. She finds the way to, I thought the queen was going to take the rook to get rid of the rooks, but instead the king moves. Now you can always play rook c3 and win the queen anyway. This is a little bit mysterious. Why did she not play rook c3?
I think it's just the time.
Okay.
Yes.
I think I also misplaced the fact that her own queen was hanging. But yes, she has 10 seconds left. She reroutes her knight. She's trying to get to d4. And now she might just win the endgame. That a pawn looks like a winner, but the knight gets to f5. Little counterplay.
Yeah, and look how calm both of those players are with not too much time on the clock. My heart is racing. And the players are managing to keep ever so cool. King goes to g2. You know, there's also now the rook falls. This is it for white. And now
knight f5's a problem if your knight is pinned. Oh, but look at this.
Well, this is a better. So nice. You can't take because there's a discovered attack against the queen. So this is it. Everything is under control. And a nice game there from Lu Miaoyi.
She gets on the board. Each player has one win and one loss. And yes, she did not step into any landmines at the end of the game. She was able